we actually created some research. We actually worked on some research with a research partner regarding the National Day of Prayer, which happened to be on May 4th, 2023. What we called this was the prayer wrap. Okay, those of you familiar with Spotify, at the end of the year they give you a Spotify wrap, so you can see what you listen to all during the year, and it kind of ranks the different listening habits that you may have. So we wanted to really bring everything together and see what is the state of prayer and of affirmation and meditation and other forms of worship in America. So again, prayerwrap.org is where you can see that. Some of the interesting things we found were that 85% of America connects with their higher power. You'll hear me use that term higher power today to be respectful of all people, regardless of that higher power, that greater good that they believe in. We did find that 61% of Americans pray as well. And it looked like this: 61% pray, 39% meditate, 38% practice mindfulness, 20% recite affirmations, etc., etc. So we did find that America, even today, is a believing nation. There is a higher power that they believe in. We also found out when they pray. We find that morning rituals and nightly rituals are things that we see quite a bit. We also found out how long they pray, 3.6 billion minutes each day. And again, this is just America, 3.6 billion minutes every day. We asked where they worship, where they pray. And this will tie in directly to what Father Greg was talking about. 1 in 4 Americans pray at work. The question is, where do they pray? As we think about employers and corporations, how do we create a conducive environment so people can bring their whole selves and their whole souls to work? We found out that 74% pray at a desk or their own station, 42% in the parking lot, right? People want to find that space, but they may not find a space within a building or within a place where they work. 31%, they have to go to the restroom to actually do that. And 19% have a dedicated space. So congratulations to those places that recognize this, and as Father Greg talked about, that recognize that there's a need to identify this and to call it out. We also found this, and this is where I'll start talking about a key thing that I think will be key to my remarks today. Many people pray and worship in different ways. Many use objects. We found that those people my generation and older, 6% of them use objects when they pray. But the younger generation, we'll call them Gen Z and Millennials, or Genzennials if we mix those together, 22%, almost 1 in 4, uses objects of some sort. This might be too small to see, but again, if you go to prayerwrap.org, you can look at this. This would include incense, this would include essential oils, this would include multiple objects that people use to pray. And as we thought about this, we thought about Gen Z. Okay, Gen Z is different, right? It's different than my generation, Gen X. It's different than boomers. We need to approach spirituality and religiosity in a way that's real and relevant to the rising generation. That's incumbent on us, right? To figure out a way to make this real and relevant in their life. If we look at it from a corporate perspective, Genzennials, as they continue to grow, by the end of this decade, by 2030, 4.5 million more Genzennials will be added to the workforce. By the end of, again, this decade, 2030, 1 out of every 3 workers will be within this age range. So if you think about that, there's this tidal wave of Genzennials that are on the rise, and that will be hitting the workforce more and more over time. But when we talk about people in this age group, you often see headlines like you see up here. Why are millennials and Gen Z the loneliest generations? We talk about the tired generation, millennials specifically. More than 90% of Generation Z is stressed out. We talk about loneliness. We talk about other issues that they experience. So we see these headlines and we realize that at the baseline of all of this, there's something causing this, right? There's some reason why all of these, I'll call them mental health maladies, are occurring. We believe at Skylight and at Radiant and at DMC that spiritual wellness can help. Just like you need to go to the gym or work out your body to realize the benefits of physical health, we believe something similar needs to happen from a spiritual wellness perspective. And our mission is to help these young adults live happier lives through a personal connection with God. Now, this was interesting. One of the key things that I wanted to call out from a few slides back is many Gen Z and millennial believe that a spiritual or a wellness app can help them in their journey towards spiritual wellness. So we created something called Skylight. You can access that at skylight.org or download it on iOS or Android. But up to this point, in a little over 2.5 years, over 6 million people have utilized Skylight. Think of 3 to 5 minute exercises that you can use, from an affirmation to a prayer to a meditation to spiritual movement or spiritual music. We've also done a lot of research to help show that that what we're doing is actually leading us in the right direction. We've worked with the former chief science officer at Calm to basically do a survey, a research survey of what's out there, in addition to 150 plus in-person surveys. And we've actually had this scientifically based that these are the 5 things that most Genzennials are dealing with. The biggest issues they have are with sleep, anxiety, stress, loneliness, and self-esteem, with 1 and 2 being gorillas compared to the final 3. So we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work left to do. But we can say this, based on all the research and the scientific data that has been combed over and verified, Skylight is working. We've seen lower anxiety, reduced stress, and better sleep. For those that actually utilize this on a consistent basis, that is what happens. Just a few anecdotes. I won't have time to read these, but the voice of the user is probably the most powerful, right? Is it working for them? And we have people saying that it is indeed. So again, as we set the table today talking about corporate responsibility, Father, Greg talked about the why. We want to talk a little bit about the how, and we believe Skylight is one of those tools you can put in your toolbox, and it'll help you get where you need to go from a corporate perspective. Thank you so much.